The final Premier League game of what feels like the longest January in history, and the Blues are up against a tough Burnley side today who are full of confidence. They ended Liverpool's unbeaten run at Anfield about a week ago. A couple of good results since then, but it's Fortress Stamford Bridge they're at today. Chelsea versus Burnley in the Premier League. Hello and welcome to Matchday Live. I'm joined by Jason Cundy, Zach Jellab and Savage Dan. Boys, good start. Good start to Thomas Tuchel's reign. A good promising performance in the week. Jason, I want to start with you actually because 5-6 months ago, Thomas Tuchel would have been preparing a Champions League final against Bayern Munich. Other than beginning with B, there's not too many similarities I could find between Bayern and Burnley, but it's not too many similarities, but in the same way, both very big tests, and today we'll learn a lot today from Thomas Tuchel, won't we?
Yeah, I mean, I felt with just 24 hours training to get his message across, it's almost impossible. But the shape of the team, you can see what he's done there. He went with a 3 and a 4, a 2 and a 1. And he's finding out about his players. I thought Mason was unlucky not to get the starting 11. I think when he came off the bench, I think he was probably our best player, actually. Because Callum was excellent. I mean, give it to Callum.
Callum was really good.
You know, I thought his impact was brilliant. Has he done enough to get into the team? We'll find out very, very shortly. But he's finding out about his players. And when managers come into clubs, you may look from a distance and form an opinion of them. It's not until you work with them on a daily basis do you really get to know the players you want, the players you like, the players you see in training. There are certain things you might like, certain things you don't like. You might want to change the way that they play, for example. I mean, Callum, right wing back. Who thought? You know, who thought that was coming? But he was excellent. And, you know, he didn't play like a wing-back defensively, really. His main job was to get as high and as wide on the right-hand side and get in a 1v1 situation, which he's done on numerous occasions. These are the little things that took over the next 2 to 3 to 4 weeks. He wants to get home as quickly as possible. He's had a little bit of time with the squad, and I expect that there will be 1 or 2 more tweaks to what we saw midweek against Wolves.
Dan, it's obviously been said a million times before. Burnley are a ridiculously well-run football club on and off the pitch. You know, they've got from Sean Dyche down and up even. They're brilliantly run. But they're on a good run recently. You know, they picked up a couple of very important results for them. And, you know, perhaps they'll start to look up instead of behind them if they get a decent result. They'll fancy their chances today, won't they?
Yeah, but I feel like they won't know what they're going to get today, what version of Chelsea is going to turn up, what formation Chelsea are going to play, what personnel. It is all up in the air right now. So if you're Burnley preparing for us, I'm not sure how you prepare. You don't know what shape you're preparing for. You don't know what personnel. So yeah, look, they're in good form. They'll try and do what they do best, which is, you know, a pretty low block 4-4-2, well-drilled system, hard to get behind, hard to pull out a position. And our job will be to, you know, get them checking their mirrors and looking behind them and get them worried about the spacing behind. And our job is to unlock them. So I think we've got enough quality in the squad to do that. I feel like Tuchel will probably change a couple of things and make it slightly more interesting, maybe more dynamic and more of a goal threat, because as of late, we haven't been scoring too many goals. So we need goals, you know, we need goals from wherever we can get them from. And if we get the first one today, I think it will stand us in good stead.
Well, no surprise, all 4 of us are predicting goals, but how are you going to predict today's game? Get involved with Play Predictor. It's your last chance to enter this month, in fact. So make sure you do that on the 5th stand-up. 11 a.m. is the deadline, so not too much longer. So do that pretty sharpish. There is a £100 Megastore voucher up for grabs. And if you top the leaderboard for the whole of January, you can bag yourself a £500 voucher and a signed merchandise bundle as well. Nana from Ghana won last week on Wednesday. So terrific result. Maybe get involved again. Who knows? Could we have back-to-back winners? We'll see about that. In fairness, we've not had too many correct scores on here. So hopefully one of us boys will get it today. This is what we've gone for. I've gone for a 1-0 Chelsea win. Dan and Jason have both gone for 2-1 Chelsea wins. And Zach, you've gone for a 3-1 win today, mate. Everything that the boys have already said in terms of perhaps moving on from Wednesday. Thomas knows a little bit more about the side now. Is that why you've backed Chelsea for a 3-1 win?
Yeah, indeed. I think... Look, we already saw what he was trying to do after just one training session. Now he's had several. As we said, he's got to know the players. Now he knows who should be starting or who should be starting to play against Burnley anyway, because that is something that he likes to do depending on what the opposition is who he's playing, not necessarily sticking to one set of group of players. And I thought that was quite nice as well when he said after the Wolves game, it was just like, this is probably the most unfair selection I'll ever do, to be fair to him. But yeah, no, I think we have too much quality. And even if things do start to get a bit tough later on in the game, whoever is on the bench has the ability to come on and change that game. But look, I think if it's going to be a bit rough, that's what Burnley want to do. They want to make it tough for you to come. And if we, as Dan said, we can score that early goal, then we in the driver's seat there, we can really kind of take it forward. But look, Bentley and Tarkowski, they are tough opponents, and Burnley are as well. I mean, they've been in the Premier League now for so long, and it's respectable to what Sean Dyche has done. So it's going to be tough, but that first goal, and we should be good.
Everything you've said there, Zach, is bang on with our hot topic one for today, which is more time to get the message across for Thomas Tuchel. And Jace, we've all mentioned it already. We've all kind of seen the shoots of what Thomas Tuchel wants from his team in Wednesday night. But again, like Zach's already mentioned, he had 24 hours or so to turn the team around. He's had a couple of days now to train, get to know the personnel, get to know the personalities, who's fit, who's not fit, who's ready to go. And I suppose that the key thing about a new manager coming in is it's a clean slate for everyone. That's got to kind of invigorate players that perhaps have been on the fringes looking in for a while.
Yeah, and the players that weren't in the squad will feel as though they've got a bit more of a new chance now. The ones that were in the squad will feel, right, my place may well be up for grabs. I've got to put in a performance. That's what you get when a new manager comes in. It's happened, throughout my career. When a manager comes in, you start to wonder, does he like my style? Am I going to be in his plans? Is there something else he's thinking about? Is he going to change the shape? Is he going to completely go in a different direction to the previous manager? Because something has to change. There's a reason that Frank left us. I felt, maybe too soon, but there's a reason Frank left, because the performances results were not what were required. So he's got to make a change. He's got to do something different. What is he going to do different? Is it going to be the style? Is it going to be? There might be little tweaks to what we saw here on Wednesday evening as well. He's been very vocal about N'Golo Kanté, which N'Golo will be delighted to hear, and I'm sure we all are as well. He said he's been trying to get hold of N'Golo for years, and now finally gets a chance to work with him. Imagine that must make you feel, if that's N'Golo, making that statement to you: I want to play with you, I want to work with you, I want to make sure I'm going to get the best out of you. So there's lots that he can do, and there's lots that he's got to do. I looked at the league table this morning. We've got a big fight in our hands for top four. Big fight. We've got to have a better second half to the season than Liverpool to get there. Leicester to get there. We're talking big numbers we need to score, big points we need to pick up, and it has to start today.
Just on that, Jason mentioned about N'Golo Kanté, Dan. I mean, there's Premier League midfielders that have been chasing N'Golo Kanté for years as well. So it's certainly not an uncommon theme for Thomas Tuchel to have been trying to catch him for a while. But in terms of that, what I've really enjoyed over the last couple of days, especially in his first proper, I suppose, interview with Lee Parker on the Fifth Stand-Up, which is well worth a watch if you haven't seen it already yet. But the honesty in which Thomas Tuchel has spoken, he's mentioned about speaking to Frank since he's coming in. He's mentioned about obviously talking about players he's worked with in the past, in Christian Pulisic, and he's talked about all these different things, but he's been so honest and so open. He's a great talker, and as a fan watching that, you want to engage more, don't you? Because you hear someone that clearly has got so much enthusiasm, is such a kind of a studious person to the game, but he talks so well that you do buy into that straight away. So as a player, you've got to be feeling exactly the same way.
You can hear the experience in him. As soon as he speaks, you can hear there's an honesty, there's an experience, there's almost a swagger. He knows that Chelsea can perform better, should perform better, and will. And he comes from winning clubs, winning cultures. He knows what it takes in order to get to the very top. So he speaks like a manager who has experienced that already and knows that he's capable of getting Chelsea back to where they need to be. And he only spent one day with the team before the game against Wolves, and he already criticised that performance as well. Slightly saying, look, we performed well, but we're in control of what the opposition do as well. And it was something I thought when he said it, I was just like, oh yeah, you're right. He says things that you probably only realise when you have been at that level and played that kind of tactical battle that he's played.
It's difficult, isn't it, Zach, as well, because Thomas Tuchel has never come into a job midway through a season before. It's a new experience for him. It's a new experience for a lot of the players, especially the younger players that perhaps haven't seen a turnover in manager as such yet, or middle of the season sort of thing for the younger lads. But in terms of getting a proper understanding for how he wants them to play, you know, the system in that sort of stuff. It's a very fine balance at the moment, isn't it, between being patient as a Chelsea fan, but as he's already said, and as Jason's already pointed out, there isn't a huge amount of time to be patient for. So what Thomas Tuchel will want is to see those developments and those progressions happen today from Wednesday evening, won't he?
Yeah, 100%. And if we're being completely honest with ourselves, like, we probably won't see a fully Tuchel system that is working coherently till maybe a couple of months, a month or so, maybe when we play Atletico Madrid in the Champions League. It takes time for things like this to happen, especially when it's very different, you know, to what the previous regime was under Lampard. But it is promising. Like, it's promising that it only took one session to see that the basics were there. And so seeing games like this against Burnley and then even against Spurs next weekend, you'll see it kind of develop more and more and more. So obviously it's a very possession-based football, and kind of we are the dominant side. And as a fan, I think that's very promising, right? That's kind of, you know, maybe it's slightly different to the exact way Lampard had it, but it is still attacking football and fun to watch at the end of the day. As long as we can get 3 points from it, I think that's all that matters realistically. But we'll take watching fun football as well.
Absolutely right, mate. Well, I'll tell you what, let's have a little look at the team that Thomas Tuchel selected from today. See what we can learn from this. Then in goal, Edouard Mendy looks potentially like the same system as in the week. So Cesar Azpilicueta, Thiago Silva and Antonio Rudiger in what looks like a back three. Callum Hudson-Odoi, Marcos Alonso making his first start since late September. Mateo Kovacic, Mason Mount, Jorginho, Timo Werner and Tammy Abraham on the bench for Chelsea today. Kepa Arrizabalaga, Andreas Christensen and N'Golo Kante, Christian Pulisic, Kurt Zouma, Olivier Giroud, Ben Chilwell, Reece James and Kai Havertz. Jace, straight away, the one that I suppose does jump out the page, his first start since the 26th of September against West Brom is Marcos Alonso. And in a 5, when he's playing wing-back, there's not many better in the world than Marcos Alonso, is there?
He's as good as they come. He's the best I think I've seen as left wing back. He understands the role. May not be the quickest in the world. He's brilliant in the air. He's always an outball. When we play a 3 at the back, he can go high and he can go wide. Mendy can use him. That ball, you can loft it into him and head that ball down into the front man, which Frank used, which Kanté used, and it wouldn't surprise me if Tuchel uses as well. He loves to get forward, scored a ridiculous amount of goals for a wing back. As I said, he's a big boy physically. And at times, I remember the system under Conte, he would sometimes be our centre forward. He'd be the furthest man forward. You know, he loves defensively, because we play that 3, he can afford to be a little bit more, he can gamble, he can take risks, he can actually afford to go high and not worry too much about behind because he knows he's got cover in there. And he does it so well. So yes, well done for him. If you play this system, I understand exactly why Tuchel's put him in, because he can be a brilliant wingback. In a 4, very different. It's a very different role. In fact, completely different. It may well be on the left, but totally different. He's almost a winger today, and he understands it and gets it. So, looking forward to seeing what he can bring.
Dan, also, Tammy Abraham and Timo Werner start up front together. If it is that system we're looking at, we're probably looking at Timo and Tammy playing as more like a 2 in terms of a front 2 rather than sort of 1 and then 1 wider. So that'll be interesting as well. And if we can get a partnership between those two blossoming, then again, Chelsea are in a very good position.
Yeah, and he's probably looked at the 2 centre-backs of Burnley and he thought, you know what, I want to occupy them both and get them one-on-one both times with players that want to spin them and get them going towards their own goal. It almost looks like a 3-2-3-2, very attacking game this is going to be. We've just got to obviously be wary of Burnley aren't just going to sit there and completely defend. They are going to have a go and they'll pick their moments very well. So we've got to be, make sure that we're awake to all of that. But I'm excited seeing this. It looks like something new. I'm excited to see Alonso back as well because, as Jay said, he is easily one of the best wing backs in the world. He's just so... He chipped him with so many goals in the campaign last season and the season before, under Conte. He shows ridiculous movement and will to get into that box. So if we need goals, it looks like this is the team and the system that will probably give it to us.
And I've heard Marcos Alonso will be well aware that Spurs are coming up in the week as well. And we know that when it comes to playing Spurs, the man loves a goal as well. So maybe that's in the brain a little bit. Zach, you've already mentioned this already, but Thomas Tuchel said that it was the most unfair lineup he's picked coming into the side, which again I thought was an amazing quote. But also we
brilliant.
saw that he wanted experience, and he went with a little bit more of an experienced lineup against Wolves. You could say he's only made a couple of changes, but you could say he's perhaps flipped that a little bit with Tammy Abraham getting the nod, Mason Mount coming in, and still trusting Callum Hudson-Odoi at right wing back. So he's definitely getting a feel for who and the system that who's going to fit the system that he wants to play. But again, we'll learn a lot today. We've learned a lot from Wednesday night. We'll learn a lot today, and I suppose these are the kind of building blocks that we'll see going forward.
Yeah, if I'm being completely honest, based on like what was happening at his previous clubs, I think every lineup could be a different player featuring every single week, depending on who we're playing. Which makes it more fun for us, I guess. It's changes, it's consistent, and even for the players, right? It's so much more about you want to show that you should be in this squad every single week. Whoever you're playing, you can do it. I think today's going to be quite big for Mason. He's playing a little bit, you'd assume a little bit further up, maybe more in a 10 role behind the two, compared to what he had been doing recently, more of an 8 role. And he was, that was kind of the position he was playing more for his academy and last season as well. So I think he could have an interesting game because it showed you he was only over 10 minutes against Wolves, but he was willing to drive into that Wolves defence. He literally, I think it was within the first 2 minutes of him being on, span him and was into the box and created a really good chance. So I think it's going to be a good game for him. Tammy as well. Normally you say to someone, you just scored a hat-trick, mate, and then unfortunately you're not going to be in the next game. You'd be like, what's happened here? So that'll be good because I mean we've spoken about it before. I love the 2 up top formation, one of my favourite things. So it'd be good to see him and Werner up top because they had some. I know obviously it was against Luton Town, Championship opposition, but still, we know the difference of the Championship and Premier League isn't actually that much anymore. But they were good. There was like a nice little kind of duo there. T and T, I think we'll start saying in the future.
I like that. You can have that. I like that one. Yeah, definitely. That's a good show. Jay, but also, I suppose the difficulty when you're playing a team like Burnley is about breaking teams down because, they did it so well against Liverpool. They're so disciplined. They're so well organised. They're so consistent in the way they put performances together. Where's the key battle today then? Is it the fact that Mason's playing in a 3 with Jorginho and Kovacic? Is that the key battle where you need to make sure you're on the ball and you're making things happen, you're keeping things ticking over quickly? Where's the key area today?
The key areas are going to be when we get into that final third, making it count. Because I felt, although we had lots of possession midweek, I don't think we did a great deal with it. Mason, when he came, I think Zach might have just mentioned it there, and we all saw it. He added something different, a little bit of energy, a little bit of a spark, something that wasn't predictable. We let the ball run across his body. I felt the Ziyech and Havertz were perhaps just a little bit too predictable. Everything was in front of the back 5. We got to get in beyond them. He did it, Callum, brilliantly in the first half. Less so in the second, but when he switched to the left, I still think he had an impact, and some of the balls across on that left-hand side were good. But I think it's about moving the ball quickly, disrupting that line, because when you're playing a 4-4-2, the front men are going to try and stop the ball being played through the middle of the park. That's their job. They'll split, and they then become a barrier, if you like. So therefore, you're forcing the ball in certain ways. And the midfield 4 will then shuffle across. There's always going to be a spare man, because there's 2 up top, and that spare man generally is going to be the wing back. That's where that spare man is. You've got to move that ball quickly. If you labour, all they do is shuffle across. That's all they do. If you move it quickly, you get in that spare man, certainly the high and wide ones, that's where that ball has got to count. But it's got to be done quickly, with energy and with purpose. And that is what I want to see. If you do that, and it's going to be, I think Dan just mentioned about the shape, a 3-2, I'll get something like 3-2, 2 or something, maybe something. But it's going to be a shape for 3-4, 1-2. Yeah. But those wing backs are going to go so high, it is going to be 3-2, 3-1. That's how it's going to be eventually. So it's moving the ball quickly, boys. That's what's got to happen.
I think we might need Carol Vorderman for the next pre-match show to get all these numbers together, because I think between the 4 of us we're struggling big time. But that is all from us for now. We'll try and get our heads around it, definitely. We'll be back shortly. But first, here in full is Thomas Tuchel's first press conference in Chelsea Blue.
Hi Thomas, thanks again for your time.
Hi Gary.
Why Chelsea?
Why not? I mean, it was the opportunity. There's one of the biggest clubs in the world, in the most competitive league of the world, it was the moment, and it felt like we should absolutely not miss the chance to be part of the Chelsea family and to compete for titles with the best managers and the best teams. So that was a pretty easy choice.
Does it concern you at all the club's reputation for getting rid of managers quite quickly?
Yes and no, but on this level where I'm absolutely grateful that I can work on this level, it's like this. If you sign in for Chelsea, you sign in for the hunger of titles. You sign in for being absolutely competitive in every competition you play. I'm totally aware of that. It is like you said, but it does not scare me. We have big ambition. Me myself, I have biggest ambitions. I'm very excited about the mixture of the team. I'm very excited about the structure of the club, and the first days were amazing. And I'm absolutely aware that at some point everybody expects results, but honestly, I'm doing that of myself all the time.
You're a extremely experienced coach. You've won many things. You seem like a nice guy. Are you concerned at all that there might be a fan backlash, because Frank Lampard is obviously a legend at the club?
Yeah. A fan backlash, I don't know. I hope not, because that would be hard on the team, because we need our supporters like any team, and in a stadium like ours, and in a club like ours, like Chelsea, to have the fans so close and so close behind the team, it makes really the difference. I can absolutely assume that it's a big disappointment for the fan base to see that Frank was sacked. I have, I said this in the first statement, and I can only repeat, I have the biggest respect. I was a huge fan of Frank as a player. It was a pure joy to watch him play and to see him, how he played, with what personality he played. He was one of the key figures to demonstrate in 90 minutes what Chelsea is about intensity, about devotion, about winning mentality. And so I have the biggest respect for him personally and for his legacy. It just got bigger when I received a message today in the morning, and to a personal message to wish me all the best, and maybe meet in the future when this is possible. So honestly, nothing has changed there. But in the last 72 hours, the club made clear to me that this is not my fault, clearly not my fault, and I cannot change the situation for him. The decision was made, and I was handed the opportunity. But I mean what I say, like before.
Just a final question from me, if I may. Obviously, there's a little bit of a time to go now before transfer window closes on Monday evening. From what you've seen so far, are there any gaps that you need to fill in the squad?
No, and it's hard to judge for me right now, because we have now 1 game, 2 training sessions. I'm very happy with what I see so far, with both trainings and the game yesterday, the performance, the attitude, and the talent and potential. I think we have, the squad is not too big. Right now we have N'Golo Kanté came back today, so we have 22 players plus the goalkeepers. That is, regarding our program with 3 competitions, absolutely not too much. I have the feeling that right now is the guys deserve to be trusted, and I want to trust everybody. If a possibility comes along that we all agree on making us stronger right away, and okay, we will not hesitate, I'm sure, but it's not like we have the absolute need to do something. Absolutely not.
Moose, Talk Sport Radio.
Hi Thomas, how are you? Nice to meet you.
Hi, I'm fine.
You're the 5th German manager to manage in the top 5. I look at some of the others. David Wagner was successful with what he did with Huddersfield.
Yeah.
Obviously, we've had Jurgen Klopp massively successful, Daniel Farke successful at Norwich. What for you is going to be success at Chelsea?
Well, in the end, and the club makes this very clear, in the end at Chelsea, it is about results. It is about results for us as managers. We always try to bring in performance, to bring in like develop players, to improve players, to increase their value, like also as seen as strong performances. And but in the end, like I said, I'm very realistic. I'm in a club whose DNA it is to win and to win, go for trophies. And I'm here to challenge every trophy we play for in the competitions, and that means that, yeah, realistically, this year it's the Champions League and it's the FA Cup. To speak now about the Premier League title there are too many teams in between us. This is not realistic, and we will just lose the focus if we start here. But our job is also about relations in the club, and relations, of course, with the team, and to push everybody to the limit. And success is also to make the stadium happy. People should be excited to come to Stamford Bridge. People should be excited to watch our team. People should be excited and feel that the team plays with a special kind of energy and atmosphere. These are also the soft points of success. But in the end, we don't need to talk around a lot. At Chelsea, you play for trophies and titles.
Do you think it's coincidence that you're German and that Chelsea need to get the best out of Timo Werner and Kai Havertz? Or am I being very cynical if I sit here and say that's one of the reasons why you were chosen, because Christian Pulisic, but mainly those two?
Yeah, hopefully they talk. If it's like this, then that means they talked good about me, no? I'm not sure, but maybe it was not the biggest disadvantage in this moment. Maybe is that people can rely on that. I love to work with young guys. I love to work with guys from the academy, and we have a lot of Chelsea boys here in this squad, and we will push them to the limits. Yeah, but it was, like I said also yesterday, it was a bit strange. I step up for the first time in the middle of a season, one day before a match, and you do the first meeting, and you already know 4, 5, 6, 7 players. Because of course maybe they're German, maybe I have worked already with them or at least spoken with them, so that made it a bit easier for me. But hopefully there were some other reasons than just my nationality to be coach now.
Last one, Moose, please.
Last one. I don't know if it's true, so it may not be true, but I read somewhere as a young boy, your favourite club in the Premier League in England was Tottenham Hotspur. Is that right?
Oh, you're really digging deep, huh? No, I just yeah. No, but I want to be very honest, because we played the EuroLeague game with Dortmund in Tottenham, and everybody there was very friendly, and I just explained it. When I was young, there was no daily match live on the TV. There was no daily match live from Bundesliga. So what I could actually see was 1-2 minutes every 4 weeks, and suddenly a club like Tottenham Hotspur came across in our sports broadcaster once every 4 weeks. So suddenly I heard the name Tottenham Hotspurs, which was very sounded like a big adventure, and gave me a big advantage on playing with my friends, because they had no idea where that club was. So. And I talked about that story, and I was young and needed the money. Huh? No, but I was young, but that was one of my first experiences. I did not even know that it's a club from London, but now I'm absolutely aware that I work for the big rivals, and you can be very sure that we do everything to beat them next week.
John Southall.
Hi Thomas. John here from the BBC. Nice to meet you. How challenging is it to take over a club in a challenge like this in the middle of a season, especially a season like this where there are so many games coming up in a short space of time?
Yeah.
You might not get the time you would like on the training ground.
Yeah, big challenge, because it is like you say, and we miss the supporters and we miss the energy. But it's not only the supporters that we miss. We miss also, you know, for me it's crucial to create a certain a special atmosphere and a bond on a daily basis here at Cobham Training Ground in the dressing room. But due to the COVID situation, we have a social distancing rule here. So at the moment we're using three changing rooms for our team. We cannot be in the gym or everybody together at the same time. We have to, and for me we cannot do the biggest celebrations in training when we do a 6 against 6, and all these little details that you maybe normally don't talk about and don't think about, they make the difference. Like also they can make the difference to create a certain bond and a certain glue between the players, and to create an atmosphere that you step into a dressing room and that you can really feel it, and they are choking with each other and they bond with each other and they are like arguing with each other. That does simply not exist. And at the same time, of course, the biggest impact are the empty stadiums. And then, like you said, everybody is like, it affects everybody also on a personal level. So some players are a bit more scared than the others, more worried about parents, about grandparents. This is a huge thing to deal. And and we deal on this now and step up in the middle of the season. Yeah, but at the same time, like I said, there was no time to overthink it, and maybe that was good. And the outview on to be part of this adventure was too positive, and I was too hungry to hesitate. But it's a big challenge for sure.
One more, please, John.
I think I'm right in saying that you know Pep Guardiola reasonably well. Have you spoken to him at all about the Premier League, about the challenges that might throw up? Because I think of all the leagues in Europe, this is the one where everybody seems to be able to beat each other. We saw last night with Manchester United.
Yeah, absolutely. I spoke with Pep a lot since he works here. I followed, of course, the Premier League very closely from Germany and from France. This is absolutely clear, because this is the benchmark of leagues. We could see yesterday on a physical level, on the level of athleticism and devotion and a completely different level that we are used to. I love it because it brings out the best in us coaches. I love it because it brings out the best in our players. I truly believe in that. And for me personally, this is something to step up and to compete against the best coaches in the world brings out the best in me, and I want to be ready for that. And I'm very positive about it, and it's a big challenge.
Lindsay Hooper.
Hi Thomas,
Hi.
I'm Lindsay from Premier League Productions. You made 3 changes for the game against Wolves, and you brought in experienced players, Giroud, Azpilicueta and Jorginho to start. I wondered whether fans should read much into that and the direction that you might want to go in.
No. That was, first of all, it was a totally unfair lineup, because I had no reason for any of the players who did not start. I had no reason why they did not start, because everybody deserved, because we started from 0 and the training before was excellent. So I made the choices for a little bit more experience, because I thought that if a club like Chelsea changes the coach in the middle of a season, a new coach steps in one day before the game, it's the 9th place. There are a lot of teams. I did not know how it affected the young players. I opted for a bit more experience tomorrow, and to put this weight and responsibility on the shoulders of the more experienced players. Not of any trust issues, and if you know my reputation and if my last clubs, I will push every youngster to be ready, and what I saw also today in training from the guys who did not play, I have absolutely zero doubts that we have 20, 21 players who are absolutely ready to play for Chelsea in Premier League and win games for us. Nobody should read too much into this. We have to. This is like we have to get known to each other, and we have to do this in the middle of a season, and so that was the reason, but nothing else.
Nick Purewall.
Hi Thomas, thanks for your time. You said great news that N'Golo Kanté's fit. You spoke briefly last night about how excited you are to work with him. Where do you see his best position? Because obviously he's played in loads of different roles in midfield, and you seem to fulfil them all well. But where do you think you'll best?
I think he's the strongest on the 6-6 in the center, in the heart of the game. Gives him a little bit more freedom than he plays a 6, what he can do. But I like he's for me not his strength is not to be the stretch to care. Turn it around. For me he's a 6 because we can use his energy, and we can use his volume in his game, his ability to recuperate and recover balls everywhere on the pitch. For me, he's a guy who's a big helper for everybody, with a big potential, with a mentality of a helper, of a water carrier, but at the same time a world-class player who played a crucial role in the World Cup win for France, and that's why it's super important to have him. And for me, the 6 is the best role for him, because it gives him a bit more freedom than he plays the 6, which demands a bit more discipline on the position and maybe cuts his wing a little bit, but I'm sure he could also play there.
Okay, we've got time for 2 more in this section, then we're going to move on to the dailies and finish with Sundays. Carrie, one question for you, and then we'll go to Raphael from Germany.
Hi Thomas, Carrie here from beIN Sports. I have to ask you 2 questions in one then, apologies. Just to follow up from Lindsay's question, your assurance to fans then that the academy players that Frank has shown such faith in won't be punished. Mason Mount was captain in the match before it started in the last 10, creating more chances than any other player. There's some concern, we know it's not, that it was a punishment. Of course, we know it's not. And I'd like to get your opinion on Billy Gilmour, because we know how much you like the metronome in defensive midfield, the Verratti style play. Everyone very excited about him as a player, some concern he could go out on loan. Your assessment of all that, please.
Of Mason and Billy.
Yeah. And why you chose the
It was just I wanted like I said, I can only repeat, I wanted to take the weight off their shoulders. Of course, when I told them they're absolutely sure they can handle the weight, okay. I have no trust issues, but I wanted to give the responsibility in this special moment to a bit more experienced players, and have them in hand to be have them in hand to have strong guys also from the bench. There is nothing to worry about. I like what I see from Mason so far, from his personality that I get to know now since 3 days, is amazing. Such a nice guy, such a competitive guy, such a lot of talent, and the most important, every game I watched so far, he leaves his heart on the pitch. He cares for Chelsea like 100%, and he gives the 100% he has every time he plays, and this is the best basis for a big development. And I'm very, very happy to have him around, and I will not stop pushing him, and I will not stop guiding him, and I will not stop trusting him. This is absolutely nothing to worry about. For Billy, the same, in a different personal moment for him, because he didn't play the biggest role like Mason did in the last week. So maybe the decision yesterday for Mason was the toughest, and we spoke about this in person. And for Billy, I have a good impression. He is a very strategic guy. The very, very high level of game understanding. Very, very, very good in the first contact. Very, very clever in positioning. We see if he has the physical level on highest, or if he can compete in the center of the field, in the most physical league in the world. We will see that, but he is super quick. He is super fast with his feet, super fast in decision making, and very, 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 very good in positioning, like I said. So for me, we have right now 21, 22 field players available, play in 3 competition. There is absolutely no need that we have to get rid of players.
Thomas Tuchel's second game in the Stamford Bridge dugout in the hunt for the first Chelsea win. Sean Dyche's Burnley will be stiff opposition this Sunday lunchtime. And this is the 11 that Thomas Tuchel has selected for today. In goal is Edouard Mendy, Cesar Azpilicueta, captain Thiago Silva, Antonio Rudiger, Callum Hudson-Odoi, Marcos Alonso, Mateo Kovacic, Mason Mount, Jorginho, Timo Werner and Tammy Abraham. Let's go straight on to our one to watch then, boys, because it's club captain, legend, all-round lovely bloke, Cesar Azpilicueta. Big thing for him, actually, a couple of days ago is his 100th Premier League clean sheet, which in 281 Premier League appearances is some feat. I mean, Dan, I think the best thing it almost feels like you're doing him a disservice saying this, but his consistency and his dependability is probably one of his best attributes and traits, isn't it?
Definitely. It's his attitude as well. I remember first seeing him and thinking he had the look of a fullback who didn't want to get beat. And you know, when you just got that about you, you just refuse to lose your one-on-one battle. Obviously, it can't go on forever, but his consistency, his attitude, he's always given 100%. He's vocal as well. You know, we're forgetting he's the senior player, you know, apart from Thiago Silva in this squad. He is our Mr. Chelsea. He's always at the races. So yeah, I think it will be an interesting shift again for him, because he's going again from a back 4 to a back 3. I've always liked him more in a back 3. I feel like he can get forward a bit more. And I remember the season where Morata was here, he assisted a few of those kind of lofting balls into the box. So I feel like he can behave like a fullback from that back 3.
Definitely right. And Zach, I suppose something that Dan touched on in there in terms of Thiago Silva as well. It's important for a new manager to come in and know that he's got people that he can rely on, people that know the club, people that have been here for a while, people that know the ins and the outs, but also someone that's a model professional like Cesar is, in terms of he knows he's got someone he can count on that's going to give an honest opinion, that's going to always give their all and lead by example. Yeah, indeed. And that's what you get with Azpi. I mean, we'll probably look back on this. I think it was £8 million back in 2013. Like, that's one of the bargains of that decade, if we're being quite honest. It was several Premier League trophies, probably the most versatile defender to ever play the game, if we're being quite honest. Right back, left back, centre back. Maybe he would have done a job at CDM if we ever needed him to step into midfield as well. He is Mr. Reliable, Mr. Consistent. And for a solid time, especially during that 2016, 2017 kind of era, best defender in the Premier League consistently, whether it was right back, left back or centre back.
and would always push and make sure he would make himself better. When he maybe lost a bit of his pace, he developed his game so that he didn't have to need it as much. And he's very, very smart. And I'm also super, super interested to see what he does after the game as well. He could end up being a very, very intelligent manager. And I hope he's involved with Chelsea for as long as possible, because he's a legend.
I think you're probably bang on there, mate. He seems to have all the traits. And Jay, Zach and Dan have both touched on it. But in terms of him playing centre-half, I was doing a little bit of research last night. And under Antonio Conte, played 29 of 38 games when we went to that back five. And again, for a player to go from right back to centre-back, prior to that, I can't really find many examples of him playing centre-half. But he just seemed to fit in and mould straight away. 7 assists from centre-half as well. It gives you so much going forward in terms of his leadership, but also being able to slot into that role and not having to worry about it or someone getting up to speed to it. It's invaluable, isn't it?
You know what? A couple of seasons ago, I thought I was starting to see the decline in Azpi. Genuinely, a couple of seasons, maybe even 3 seasons ago, where I started to see that perhaps things change in his game. Well, not a bit of it, because he has come back stronger in the shape change. And this is what new managers do. I felt that perhaps Azpi would get more minutes on the pitch this season because of Reece, the emergence of Reece James. And moving forward, he was going to be our go-to guy at right back. Well, now you look at the system and you look at how we're going to play, you probably think right now, if we're going to continue with the 3, and Callum at right wing back, and Azpi at centre half, Aspi's probably going to play most games. And you look, where does Reece play? Well, I think Reece is a brilliant wing back, but if you want Callum there, where does Reece play? So all of a sudden things change. The credit I have to give Azpi is that he just keeps going. He keeps going. He keeps going. Zach made the point there about he doesn't want to get beat. He's a fiercely competitive, as footballers are, fiercely competitive. You want him in your team. You want him alongside you because he's the ultimate professional. He's a brilliant lad. You'd love him alongside you. He's genuine, but absolutely a professional through and through. So he is brilliant for this football club and has been brilliant for this club. And do you know what? He's probably going to play, if we keep the system, most games for the rest of the season.
Completely right. You mentioned him there, and it's not really a conversation that we felt we should still be having, but we do need to talk about Reece James, because not only is he one of our own and a terrific footballer, forget about football for a minute, he's an excellent human being. If anyone follows Reece on social media or has seen any of the incredible work he's done during the pandemic for people less fortunate and been working on doing some amazing things, I know we all echo this here at Chelsea, but the racist abuse that Reece has suffered during the week is absolutely disgusting. And all of us here at the football club want to completely underline this. Absolutely. The abuse he's been subjected to, and other footballers also continue as well on social media, is abhorrent, unacceptable. And we urge stronger, more urgent action against this despicable behaviour. Something needs to change. It's changed more than a conversation. It needs action, and it needs action now, boys. I know we've all seen this. We've all got social media accounts. We'll see things like this that are popping up, unfortunately, fairly frequently now. On one hand, Dan, it's good that footballers have got a voice and able to speak up and raise these issues, because you need to be holding, I suppose, not only the people responsible account, but also social media people in terms of Twitter and Instagram and Facebook and stuff like that. Things need to change. It needs action. And Reece is a phenomenal footballer and a great human being. And in terms of being able to step up and the football club to back him and say, look, we'll follow you to the end. We need to sort this out. This is something that needs more than a conversation now. And it's all well and good still taking the knee, but we need to be doing more, don't we?
Need to do loads. Need to do so much more. It's hard to police it in many ways. You've got social media accounts. You don't know who they are. A lot of them is just a egg account, or a spam account or whatever it is. It's very hard to police it, but we need to cut it out. Just as a human race, as people in general. You might think, oh yeah, let me be silly from my bedroom. Whether you're doing it to really offend or whether you're doing it because you think someone's not going to see it, it's not on. It's never on. And these are human beings. It's not just footballers on a pitch. These are human beings, and you wouldn't like it if somebody was doing it to you. So it does need to come to an end. I'm not sure how we get there, but we have to work together to get there.
Completely right, mate. Obviously, all of us here at Chelsea completely absolutely underline our full support behind Reece James. And again, we need to report it. We need to stamp it out. We need to do everything we can as people, as human beings, and as a society to make sure these things stop happening. Right, let's move on to some analysis then from the week. Obviously, on Wednesday, we saw Thomas Tuchel's first game in charge of Chelsea. It began with a 3-2-4-1 formation. Now we're kind of looking at more of a 3-2-2-1-2 kind of formation, something along those lines. Thankfully, Jason Cundy's had a little look at this, and he's going to look at how we're lining up going forward.
Let's have a look at the formation that Tuchel had in his first game. 3-4-3. Was that to match up Wolves? Or was that something we're going to see more of moving forward? Let's have a look at the wing-backs, Ben Chilwell and Callum Hudson-Odoi. More familiar for Ben, but less so for Callum. But I thought he was brilliant on the day, fully understanding his role. Partly the fact that it's a natural position, high and wide, getting him beyond the wing-back on this occasion. And partly down to the fact that actually, because we had so much possession, we were forcing them back. He didn't have a lot of defending to do. Again, understanding he's got to get in behind the foot wing-back. That's where the space is, linking up nearly with Ben Chilwell on the other side. Ben, on this left-hand side, didn't have as much of the ball as Callum, but when he did, looking for a decent delivery. It's a lovely first-time cross this. Couldn't quite reach its target of Giroud, but look where Callum is. Again, high and wide. He's the wing-back on that occasion. When there was some defending to do, Ben done it ever so well. And as I said, very little for Callum, but when he was called upon, this is second half, he'd switched side. Pulisic was on the pitch at this side. Then Donk, if he gets a better first touch, or even if Callum goes to sleep, that could have been a disaster. Brilliant defending from the young man. I thought overall his performance was excellent.
I'd say the chat is popping here because all of us are asking questions about Hot Topic 3, which is the new formation. It kind of, again, like Jason's pointing out in his analysis, and like you've seen, that the wing backs are kind of going to be key in this. And Zach, I suppose that's an area where Chelsea have got tremendous strength. You know, Azpilicueta can play there, James can play there, Callum Hudson-Odoi is now playing there, Alonso coming in today on the left-hand side, Chilwell, Emerson. So many players and so many options for Thomas Tuchel. So if he is looking at wing backs, he's got plenty to pick from.
Yeah, Christian Pulisic probably as well. I wouldn't be too surprised that happened. I think the thing is, at the moment, it's been against teams who are happy to sit back. So realistically, they're basically just wingers. They're wingers who kind of come back and defend at the same time. One of the things that I think is so crazy about Tuchel, if he is a man of habit, is it changes basically every game. Like one day we could be playing 4 at the back, one day it's 3 at the back, one day it's 2 in midfield, 3 in midfield. And it's just going to depend on who we're playing against, on who's starting and what formation that we're doing it. If it's a game that maybe it's, the opposition is someone that's challenging us for top 6, and maybe it's a 4 at the back, or more of a defensive 3 at the back. But I think it's just time will tell. It's hard to maybe commit to one and say like under Lampard, I think we kind of noticed that it was 4-3-3 last season. It seemed to be 4-2-3-1 this year. God, if I was a betting man, I wouldn't even try.
Jace, how does it change the role of the midfield then? Because we've seen Mason come in today, and we all have a slight suspicion he'll play a little bit further forward. But with Mateo Kovacic and Jorginho, I've seen Thomas Tuchel speak about this double 6, which he mentioned about N'Golo Kanté, which is from what I'm led to believe. Please step in because you know far more than I do on this, and this is only off research. But it means 2 deeper central midfielders, doesn't it? In terms of playing 2 almost defensive midfielders in that system, and that's what he likes to do. Yeah,
and what that does then, that allows Mason today, it may well be Ziyech or Havertz, as it was here on midweek against Wolves. It kind of gives them a little bit more license to be the type of players they want to be without having defensive responsibilities, because you've got the 2 holding there. You've got the higher, so basically you've got 5 defenders and you've got 5 attackers. That's how it essentially works. The 3 at the back and the 2 holding. The wing backs go high and wide. 1 in behind the 2 front men today. It was slightly different. He had 2 behind the 1 front man, which was Giroud with the week against Wolves. But he's mixed it up again. So it's a similar theme, but a variation on that theme. And what it allows Mason to be in a position where he likes to be. He likes that central role. He likes to get on that half turn. He likes to be the link between the midfield and the front. And he's got all of that there. He's got basically the width of the box outside, in that number 10 position to run. You can be that player. So if you're playing a 4, which they will to do today, the midfield 2, they're constantly, where is Mason? Where is Mason? Because we've got 2 front men, we will occupy their centre halves. So a centre half can't come out and then risk getting close to Mason because they've got someone there. So the two midfielders, they are going to have to make sure they are absolutely on their A game, because Mason's going to be in those little areas that he likes to get a half turn where he can see the ball is being received and also the front man as well. So big role for him. But big question now is, where does Ziyech play? Where does Havertz play in this system? Because right now, only one. We've got three players going into that one position. So you're going to find there's going to be a lot of competition, which a club like Chelsea is absolutely healthy.
Definitely. Well, I'll tell you, we've seen some absolute strikes against Burnley over the years. So let's have a little look at some of our favourites.
But there might be something now. Mistake from Lowton. Pulisic. And squeezed it in! That's brilliant! How did he squeeze it in? Picked in the team, having made a couple of big goals, and Christian Pulisic has made the most of a Matt Lowton error.
It had to be him! 8 minutes to go, and Chelsea's captain comes up with the likely winner here.
Wayne, brilliant turn from Higuain, got it back from Azpilicueta. Oh my goodness me! What a stunning goal from Gonzalo Higuain! Chelsea 2 in 2 minutes. That was a belter. Gets it back from Lampard, still going, Ashley Cole! Oh my goodness! What a start to the second half this is! And Ashley Cole has scored! That doesn't happen very often. An amazing run here. Costa is loitering on the penalty spot. In by Ivanovic. Little touch from Fabregas! Oh, what a goal!
That is unbelievable to play in these conditions where it's skidding off, that first time touch, and again that run from the right from Schürrle. Well, that's any kids watching football, that is unbelievable play. Link up play, that's how you play. Brilliant.
Let's have a little chat about two up top then, Dan, because it's a formation that I know Zach's very keen on. We've seen it a couple of times this season, but I suppose not perhaps as much as at some points we thought this season. But with Timo Werner and Tammy Abraham, you've got in some ways and in many ways you've got every area covered. You know, both will do that dogged unrespected role in terms of running after lost balls and chasing channels, but also both are very clinical in the width of the 18-yard box. So it could play into both of their strengths playing together and playing as a two, couldn't it?
Yeah, it almost feels like you're playing FIFA right now, because it is that aggressively. It's so attacking. You know, you've got two actual number 9s playing. You know, usually you've got one that wants to come deep for the ball, and nope, these are two that want to both play on the shoulder. And you've got Mason down in the hole. He'll get on the split and he'll look. It doesn't matter where he looks. There will most likely be a ball on. So yeah, look, I like the formation. In an ideal world, you'd always have two up top. Somehow we've managed to have two up top and three at the back, and everyone seems to be in this team. So I hope it works. I really hope it comes off. It's exciting. I'm looking on Twitter and everyone seems to be like just not sure what to think. You know, nobody was expecting this. So if it's nothing else, it is exciting.
Absolutely, man. I do hope it's not me playing FIFA though, because I'm absolutely shocking. Free at the back for me would be game over, Zach. Absolutely game over. But one thing that we've seen on Twitter, like you just said there, Dan, is everyone sort of second guessing. We've done exactly the same all morning. We've been chatting about who's going to play where, what system are we going to play going forward. The best managers do that. Pep Guardiola's still doing that 2.5, 3 years into his Man City reign. Like, you never know what team he's going to select. The squad that Chelsea have got, Zach, we've spoken about at length all season long about how many players there are in certain positions that can do a job and that are elite in terms of will walk into 90% of our Premier League teams. We have the squad to compete on multiple fronts. And also, go about this way of in and out sort of thing, haven't we? The rotation can work for Chelsea.
Yeah, and it makes it harder for opposition managers, right? Like, if you know what team you're facing up against, you can then make your team to be set up to defend against them quite nicely. Whereas if you are like Sean Dyche would have been today, not really got a clue what's going to happen in too many senses. I doubt he probably thought we'd play two up top, if I'm being quite honest, especially after the formation we played against Wolves. He might have seen that and gone, oh, wow, okay, that's an interesting thing that might cause us a few issues, and hopefully it does. But you're right, it's what we've seen so much success to City have over the past few seasons. You never know who's going to be starting week in, week out. Realistically, it's normally the centre-backs that are the same. Everyone else, it's just up for grabs and who's playing in form. And even then, when they're playing in form, Pep will just go, you're on the bench for this one, mate. And so it's interesting. And I think, as you said, we've got the players to do it, the people that, if we've got a big game later on, like we have Spurs on Thursday, that we can rotate and make sure people are well rested, because especially during this period where you're playing games every kind of 3 or 4 days, having a little bit of rest is much needed, and we definitely have a great squad for that.
Jace, one quick one from you as well, mate, because this system, we talk about getting the best out of certain players. Who's playing 3 at the back, getting the best out of Thiago Silva?
Well, he's got two mates either side. He's a ball-playing centre half. I think he's comfortable with it. I wouldn't see any reason why. I think when the older you get, you start to worry about the spacing behind you a little bit more, because they don't take quite what they used to be. But he has that problem now, because the two centre halves, the two centre halves on the two centre forwards, he's almost the spare man. You're not able to see everything. He should be able to see everything that's going on in front. I think in some ways, it probably, at this stage of his career, I think it probably suits him.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd have to ask him, but I think looking at the way that he plays, it's almost tailor-made for him. Remember when Glenn Hall used to play sweep right at Swindon? I think he'd done a little bit here as well. That system suits the way that he plays, and the way that he played in his latter years. I think almost it suits him.
It's going to be an interesting one, isn't it? Especially with the team. I'll give you a quick little final run through as well of Mendy in goal, back 3 of Azpilicueta, Thiago Silva, Antonio Rudiger, Callum Hudson-Odoi, Marcus Alonso, Mateo Kovacic, Mason Mount, Jorginho, Timo Werner, and Tammy Abraham. Very, very excited about, looking forward to this. And Dan as well, I suppose the opportunity arises for countless players in terms of coming off the bench. So very, very quickly, who have you got first goal scorer and to make an impact early for Chelsea?
I've got Mason Mount, first goal scorer. I feel like he's going to drift into an area. I feel like the 2 number 9s will take the 2 centre halves away. He will be left with space. He will drill one bottom corner.
Good work, mate. Like that. Right. Well, don't forget as well, the players are wearing black armbands for John Mortimore, who sadly passed away this week, aged 86. Played over 200 games for Chelsea in the 50s and 60s. Obviously, very sad week, but obviously our best wishes and regards to John Mortimer's family and friends as well. Right. That is all from us for now. Before we join our commentary team, though, let's have a little look at some of the unseen moments from our new gaffer's first Chelsea interview.
How would you describe your football philosophy and your style of play?
It's hard to maybe we try it easy. I love when my teams attack, and when we play with a high intensity and a high rhythm. And then it's also necessary to adapt to the culture of the league, to adapt to the culture of the club. And it's not only about my philosophy and my ideas, and the opposite. It is like when I think about Chelsea, I think about intensity, I think about winning, I think about mentality, I think about speed, and about attacking football. But I think also about a strong squad in defense that is hard to beat. And that creates a certain atmosphere on the pitch as a whole group to be very, very difficult to play against. This is my first impression when you ask me now when I should speak about any Chelsea team. And this is what we want to have. I want to have the guys to play with courage, to play with intensity, to accept mistakes, but don't do crazy mistakes, but to accept mistakes, to help each other. and to be organized. And in the end, it's about attacking. In the end, my day is full of minutes where I think about how we can score. So it is about creating chances and scoring the most goals possible, and at the same time closing the spaces to be not vulnerable in the back. So it's about attacking and intensity, I would say.
You bring with you a fabulous winning mentality. How much has the experience previously at Mainz, Dortmund and Paris helped to shape you as a coach?
And don't forget my 8, 9 or 10 years or more in academy football, which was crucial for me, because I can remember when I started my very first training in the under 14, I was explaining to the parents what we do. So the chief of the academy, he came to me and said, "You don't need to do this anymore." So I said, "Okay, I don't do this anymore." So what I want to say is, I mean, you do mistakes, and I still do mistakes, but the big mistakes you do in youth, nobody cares, more or less, and the head of academy cares, and of course the little players care, but you can develop and you can shape, and we learned so much on this way, and I'm very, very grateful to have this opportunity to live my passion and to live football as a profession. If it was not my profession, it would be my hobby, which I spent like all day long besides my other profession, which I don't know what that would be, but I'm very grateful, and every experience in Mainz, Dortmund and Paris, what you mentioned, was very, very different. And and it shaped me. We changed a lot, and this is a principle of us and our staff, that we adapt and that we change and that we develop also ourselves. So a training today and in this week will look very, very different from a training in Paris, and will also look more different from Dortmund, and will look more different from Mainz. And at the same time, maybe we do the same training then in Dortmund again because it fits. So it's an adaptation of the coaching style and of the management style all the time, and it's players first, is clear.
Going back to those days, coaching the under-14s, did you always have in your mind that you were going to grow up and become an elite coach?
No, because honestly, it was impossible in these days. It was unthinkable that the guy who did not play first division, not even one match, could be a professional coach in Bundesliga. This was unthinkable. So maybe it was good because I did what I did in this moment, and I had a crucial meeting with an English coach, who told me when I was still in the academy, who said, "Hey, the problem from you guys is when you're under 14, you want to be under 15 coach. When you're under 15 coach, you already want to be under 16, and so on. Stay." And I said, "Yeah, that's true, but what can we do?" I said, "Stay in the moment. Stay in the moment, and do what you do in the best way possible, and the other things will come." And it stick to me, and this was the one advice which really stick to me. And I was happy in the youth, and I made my way there to the under 19. I had the opportunity then in Mainz in my first year to be a full-time coach for the under 19. I couldn't be more happy than that. That was amazing, and then they threw me into the water and let me coach the first team, which has never anybody done before, to put the youth coach on the sideline. And then with a little bit of luck and with all the support from the management in Mainz and from the people around, we made it happen. And of course with the support of the dressing room, and yeah, honestly it just came more or less naturally, but at the same time I'm very grateful. And when you're inside, it feels kind of organic, it feels kind of normal to arrive here. From outside, when you have a moment to think about, can maybe even be a bit scared, but also proud. And it was never my target to be professional coach. It was my target to be the best coach I can be. On which level that would be, I didn't know, and now it's this level, and I'm, like I said, very grateful.